Hi everybody and welcome back to Hex Token channel, and here we are on Richard Hart's Twitter. We just got an update an hour ago about Pulse Swap, and Richard says, by the way, probably not going to be called Pulse Swap. Now Richard always keeps it mixed up, so nice, I like that. Probably not going to be called Pulse Swap, and he loves to put the old spanners in the works, so very cool. So we're going to wait to see what its final name is at the moment, Pulse Swap. So that's just an hour ago, hot off the press. I hope you enjoyed that. But in this video, we're going to look at what a Pulse Swap is and how it will likely work, as well as the sacrifice when that might happen and stuff like that. So stay tuned. It's going to be a fun little video for sure, just to follow up on the original announcements of Richard and the 3 videos I did yesterday. So let's get straight into it. All right, so Pulse Swap basically will allow you to, or whatever the final name is, will allow you to actually swap tokens like Uniswap. So basically it's going to be a fork of Uniswap. It'll enable you to be able to trade these different tokens. For example, on Uniswap you can do USDC and Hex, and obviously on Pulse it will be something like maybe a Pulse. So conventionally you might use ETH on Uniswap as the main token, of course, for gas fees and stuff like that. But in a Pulse chain you'd use Pulse and maybe Hex like that. So and that would be P Hex on Pulse chain. So pretty cool. And so that's really cool stuff you can do. Basically be able to swap it and flip it around and buy and sell, that sort of stuff. There's also the pools, of course. That's what is going to be super duper awesome, and you'll be able to get a benefit of that. You'll be able to get a fraction of the trading volume as fees shared in that, typically like 0.25, 0.3, something like that. You'll also be able to get, the Pulse Swap token as well if you in yield farming. So it's pretty cool like that as well. And obviously you're going to get all your free airdrop from the Pulse Chain fork on top of that. So you'll be able to, front up half of the pool that you're going to put in. So you're making free money all around. So it's pretty exciting stuff. Let's have a quick look at the Uniswap info. So here is some of the pools. You've got the pools here, and you can see all the different tokens that you'll have. You'll have a list like this on Pulse chain with Pulse Swap. So pretty cool. And you'll be able to buy and sell and enter the pool, supply liquidity, all that sort of good stuff. You can click on the pools. You'll be able to find all this sort of information. That there's TVL on there, the volume, 24-hour volume and stuff like that. So pretty nice. So you can see all different other peers here as well. You'll be able to see that all on Pulse Chain. They'll have all the airdropped equivalents, like PUni and PHEX and all the good stuff like that. So that's how that works. So basically you'll be able to swap it. You'll be able to fund the pools that allow people to swap tokens, and you'll earn a fee for the transactions. Here you can see it's 0.3%, and of course you'll also be able to you'll get rewarded with the yield farming with Pulse Swap and or something, whatever its final name is. So it's pretty neat. And yeah, pretty cool. And you're going to have half the pool is going to be free because you're going to get airdrops, and you can also bridge stuff over into Pulse and benefit from that as well. Matching it up what you got free, so it's pretty cool. So ERC20s are going to benefit huge by this with the duplicate of PRC20 tokens. So that's your airdrop. You get copied over from Ethereum. ERC20s get copied over as PRC20, so you'll have 2 tokens of the same project. So pretty cool, and you can end up entering these funds. So it's really is a huge opportunity. Let's have a look at some similar ones as well as Uniswap, which it's going to be a fork of. You can check out, SushiSwap, where you've got a pool. So in the pool here, this one here, liquidity provider earning a 0.25% fee, so it's a bit cheaper than the Uniswap one. And fees on all trades proportional to the share of the pool's fees are added to the pool, accrue in real time, and can be claimed by withdrawing liquidity. Now the only thing, of course, when you provide with pools, that you have a thing called impermanent loss or impermanent gain. So just take that into account. You might want to learn about that before you enter a pool. But you've got pools here. You can obviously swap on SushiSwap, and you swap because there's tokens in the pools here. And then of course you can also go to the yield farmings, and you can earn in this case SushiSwap per day. And so on Pulse Swap, or whatever the final name is, you'll be able to earn a Pulse Swap token or its equivalent, whatever the name is at the end. All right, cool. And there's also Pancake Swap. You can do that on Pancake Swap as well. So you've got, pools here. You got pools, and you can also, if you want to earn, you got pools. So you can enter the pools. You basically provide two sides of the tokens, and then you can also, once you do that, of course, you get what they call an LP token or a liquidity provider token. Those go to your wallet, and you can then, so after you've entered the pool, you'll put your tokens in there, you'll be committed to that pool, and that's what people trade with. But in return, you'll get LP tokens, which represent the amount of tokens that you've put into the pool, and you'll be able to put them into yield farming, and then get airdropped the token. In this case, you'd get a Pancake, which you can see the price up here, $13.52. So it's done very well. It used to be like 30 cents. So the potential upside for Pulse Swap, where the final name is ginormous, as you can see, and you can get all the different returns depending on what peer that you put in. So this person here would have done Cake, which is the platform that's the equivalent to Pulse Swap token, and BNB. And of course, it's got an APR and a percentage return, liquidity in the pool. It's got lots of cool stuff like total value of the funds in this farm, and it's got the multiplier in here. So it might have Pulse Swap might have some special features like that as well. This one's got NFTs on there, so it might even have that. You never know. It is a Uniswap fork, so it's probably just going to have this basic stuff, but you never know what they might tag onto it. That's for sure. And yeah, very cool. So a lot of upside, and if SushiSwap's got lending and borrowing and staking, so it's got a few extra products offerings on there as well. So you just never know where it will evolve to. Now, Pancake Swap is a V2 version of Uniswap. So you've still got your 50-50 requirement. You provide, say, 50% Pulse and 50% PHEX. That would be, and you pair those up. That's what you would be providing. Pretty cool. And then, of course, that's pretty much the idea of what it is that's being set up. And it's going to be on Pulse Chain. It's going to be pretty massive. Now, the other thing, of course, it's going to be on a scale like nothing else. So because it's the biggest airdrop in history, you're getting all the ERC20s copied over from Pulse Chain. This is going to be on a ginormous scale. So you know how well Pancake's done, SushiSwap's done, these DEXs. You imagine how this SushiSwap, Pancake Swap, or whatever the final name is called, is going to do. It's going to be a ginormous financial opportunity. So it really is amazing. So that's the first part about a quick overview about what it is. And of course, the final details will be known closer to when it launches. Now they have been putting it on the test net at the moment, Pulse Chain testing it at the moment, but seeing that code is different altogether. Let's talk about the second part of this video, which is really the sacrifice. Or should I say the third part, because we already talked about the name potentially that it's going to be a different name. So in the Pulse Chain Sacrifice, we had it over 19 days and had a few different features during those days. First 5 days, and then the final 3 days all had different features into it. So that was over, but now we have the sacrifice phase. So people are still sacrificing to get pulse points. So they'll likely run a couple of weeks, as Richard said. Probably run a couple of weeks. I think we've got that down here somewhere. Actually, I might leave that one out. We won't talk about that. So they'll be probably running a couple of weeks before the launch of mainnet. That's Pulse Chain mainnet, and we're going to check that out on the time frame. So that's probably cool. It's going to be something like this. And of course, when we did the Pulse Chain Sacrifice, we had a separate site called pulse.info. I'll leave all the links to this, of course, where you connect your wallet up and the network and you sacrifice your tokens. So I don't imagine it's going to be too much different. I think it's going to be pretty similar. Probably they may have enhanced a few things possibly, but I think it's going to be pretty similar. That may have different structure. So it may not have a multiplier. It may have a multiplier. So last time we had 10,000 points per $1, and then we've also had a multiplier phase during the first 16 days, but then the last 3 days was different. So it may have that feature. We just don't know. We'll wait and find out about that. And then finally, there was one thing I was going to talk about here, the disclaimer. So you are sacrificing to prove how strong you believe that blockchains are speech, and speech is particularly human rights. So if he's doing a sacrifice, he's doing it along the same logic as this. So therefore, this is probably what you're doing. You're supposed to expect nothing. You're just sacrificing for this purpose. And of course, ultimately, you're not going to get an airdrop as such, because that's kind of a taxable term. But you'll be getting, never know, you maybe get a free, Pulse Swap tokens, or whatever the final name is. This is an important political statement. You must have no expectation from profit from the work of others. The set of people who have sacrificed to show their commitment to this political statement makes a great set of people to airdrop free things to. The sacrifice points are not meant to have a monetary value. And remember, you're not buying anything. The world is just noticing you are amongst a group of people that sacrifice to make a political statement. Some countries tax their citizens when they receive things of value, you see, so that's the other side of it. And Pulse Chain and all other coins on it are designed to start with no value, which is ideal. Consult your own legal financial professionals. There's nothing written here is considered to be professional advice. The only thing we know of is a set of airdropped for free to this political group so far is Pulse Chain PLS. We hear about other cool things, we'll let you know, that's an interesting tagline there on the end there. You just never know what else you might get when Pulse Chain launches under the normal Pulse Chain sacrifice. So the sacrifice for Pulse Swap, or whatever the final name is, could be similar, as this has guided us, and we're familiar with this already, so the audience already knows how this works for the most part, except for the people that came in late during the messy phase. And then you probably have a site maybe possibly similar like this, or they may just keep it on one site, so we'll find out for sure. And then finally, we have the timeline. So I've just updated the Pulse Chain timeline with a potential date. We know that Pulse Chain Mainnet, based on Richard's last live stream, was somewhere between these dates. Before Christmas, 21st I've got here, possibly 22nd. That was 1 to 2 months, he said. So that's the rationale for these lines. And of course, he talked about 6 weeks would be somewhere in the middle here, around the 5th, 6th, 7th of January. And so I put a little smiley face there from Pulse Swap. So it's just indicated if that goes live, then Pulse Swap's likely to go live at the same time, with the Unifork as the minimum viable product. And of course, the two interfaces, go.hex, go.win, and stuff like that, to have the front ends for Pulse Chain and Hex as well. So you've got a little line here. He said a couple of weeks before, so we probably have a sacrifice somewhere in before the launch there. This is based on this timetable. Obviously, if Pulse Chain Mainnet is later, then you have to shift this all over to the right. But this just give you a nice little visual of how that sacrifice period might run. We can see that the original sacrifice period was over here. That was 19 days. We can see right at the beginning, and we may have something similar over here if the time frame holds up, like if we have announcements here. So obviously, Pulse Chain testnet 2.0 needs to go well. Otherwise, go well, and I suspect it will, because the dev was super bullish about the Pulse Chain testnet 1.0. So we'll see how long that takes to be tested. Because it could be, if it launches the next day or two, this week is what we're most likely expecting from Richard's last update. Then it could be somewhere in here. And if it finishes, then we might have a week break, and then you never know, Pulse Chain launches somewhere in here. So we'll see. We just don't know how long it's going to last. It's going to last, all the way through. Will it finish somewhere here, and then able to get ready, make sure everything's ready and for the minimum viable product, and then launch here somewhere? We just don't know. So we'll wait and see how that plays out. But that, folks, is pretty much a cool overview. We've got Richard's latest tweet, and of course, by the way, it's probably not going to be called Pulse Swap. And then, of course, we've got Uniswap. This is what it's going to be a fork of, and you can see that people will be able to swap their tokens on Pulse Swap. They'll be able to enter pools and earn fees, as well as potentially do yield farming with the airdrop of the Pulse Swap token. And of course, we've got the pools over here. You can see examples of those peerings all on there. It'd be something similar like that, except on Pulse Chain. We've got examples of a Sushi Swap with their pools and yield farming. Obviously Sushi token here. We've got the Pancake Swap example with pools and yield farming, and with Cake as example, and awesome prices these have made for early investors. And of course, we've gone through and shown an example of the Pulse Chain sacrifice, which it may look very similar, at least have some similar features too. And of course, no expectations, that kind of thing. And then we've also got a possible timeline. That's just me speculating based on all the information we have at the moment. But that changes as Richard changes the time dimensions, as it were. All right, hope you guys enjoyed that. Feel free to subscribe, like, and share. Hit the bell, of course. I look forward to your comments on this, and let us know how you're feeling. That'd be really cool. Hope you enjoyed this one. Catch me for tomorrow's video. Bye for now.